Welcome to this episode of the Smokin' Barrel Show. On today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the new World Dorado. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode. We're going to be talking about the new World Dorado. This is a new cigar from AJ Fernandez, and I'm here with Kyle from Route 7 Cigars in Sterling, Virginia. Kyle, I cannot wait to dive into this cigar.
Yeah, this is a very interesting cigar from AJ. This is all made on one estate called Dorado. That's how he got the name Dorado for this cigar. It's basically because of the color of the soil, looked gold, that he named the plantation or the farm Dorado.
Right.
So the blend of this cigar is almost all from the Dorado field, though some of the filler is from other farms that he owns in Nicaragua. So the wrapper is Habano sun-grown, all from the Dorado field. The binder is a 98 Criollo, also all from the Dorado field. The filler is from Dorado, Condega, and Esteli.
Okay.
So that makes it a non-estate cigar, where normally if it was all from the same farm, it would be called an estate.
Okay.
The color has everything to do with this. If you look at the wrapper, it definitely has a gold feel to it.
Yeah, I love the look of the cigar.
But then he also put the foot and the band on it to be gold to accent the color of the wrapper. Mike is going to light this. He's going to try it out.
I can't wait to light it.
Smoking, and I'll give you a short history on AJ while he's doing that, so then we can go back and see what he thinks of the cigar as he's smoking it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I want to, before I do that though, I just want everybody to get a good look at this. I think this is an awesome presentation. I love the label. I love the footband. I love the look of the cigar. When you walk into that humidor, it really stands out, right? I can't wait to jump into it. So let's do it.
Okay, so give her a cut and a light. While he's starting that, I want to give you a little history about AJ Fernandez, because he has come onto the scene in a short period of time and changed a lot of the tobacco industry. So AJ was born in 1979 in San Luis, Cuba, which is Pinar del Rio, which is the epicenter of cigars in Cuba. It's where all the tobacco is made. He mentored with Alejandro Robina, who was considered the best tobacco wrapper grower in Pinar del Rio. They worked together for at least 5 to 6 years, where he learned to trade from Alejandro, though his grandfather, AJ's grandfather, started with a cigar before Castro took over Cuba called San Latano, and his father, Ismael, was also in the government tobacco business when AJ was born. AJ then immigrated to Nicaragua in 2003 and started to work for his uncle, Nestor Plasencia, who probably makes 70% of most of the cigars you smoke. After working with him for 5 years, in 2008, he found a little frigging derelict factory, and with 6 rollers, made his first cigar for Rocky Patel.
Well, let me pause you right there
Go
for
ahead.
a minute. So right out of the gate, guys, this thing has got a lot of kick to it, right? So if you're new to cigars, you're starting light, this thing comes out really hard. What's giving me that kick? Is that Habano? Is that Habano
it's
wrapper?
The wrapper's coming out. Now, the strength of it, of course, is a binder and filler, but the taste you're getting from the light up is that Habano sun-grown wrapper. You're getting a little pepper or a little spiciness or whatever. But, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. As you go down, we'll see, but it should smoothen out, and that pepper will kind of abate a little.
Yeah,
as
it does.
you're
It
smoking
does
but
have
we'll
that.
see.
Yeah, it does have that peppery flavor. It's got that spice. Not too strong. I've had some cigars that will just knock you out the moment they come in.
Right.
And it's a little strong, which is not a bad thing. But this is really smooth so far, so I can't wait to get into the rest of it.
Yep. So his first cigar was the 2008 Summer Blend for Rocky Patel in a derelict factory with 6 rollers is how he started. The following year, he contracted Cigars International and made Man of War and Diesel. Diesel still has a huge following. That's AJ's really first cigar that everybody started noticing his name and who he was. In 2010, he came out with San Latano, which is this cigar right here.
Yeah, so let's set the stage here for everybody. So one of the things we're going to do while we're enjoying this great cigar is we're going to walk through some, not all.
No.
We're going to walk through some of AJ's
Correct.
cigars. We are going to talk a little bit about the New World line. So we've got the New World line here. But yeah, let's talk about these cigars and AJ's influence.
So San Latano, again, his grandfather had the brand in Cuba. Once Castro's government took over, they did away with the ban because they went to the bands they wanted to carry. The farmer no longer owned his brands anymore. The government did. So San Latano died out. So his first cigar was dedicated to his granddad. That's why he came out with a name. That's the name of one of his factories, is San Latano, and it's his original cigar.
And we've got two in that line. What's the difference here?
The San Latano Bull came out probably 5 to 6 years later. It was originally done only as an online cigar, and it was called the San Latano Bull because it was supposed to be stronger than the San Latano, hence the Bull.
Yep.
It didn't sell as well as they wanted it to online, so they started offering it to brick and mortar, saying, it's, selling big time, which really meant we're not doing well. We need brick and mortar to push our cigar.
But we got good marketing.
Right. Then he started New World. In 2014, he came out with the original New World. This cigar is probably one of the boldest on his line that he makes only for himself. He makes a lot of other cigars for other companies. But this is bold out of the box. You said strong out of the box. This baby is strong out of the box.
Yeah, and I've had that cigar. That's a great cigar.
Right. So then he followed with the Connecticut, which is a different wrapper, same binder and filler. The Cameroon, which Cameroon gives a very distinct flavor and is done by a few companies to give it a very distinct flavor than anything else in your line. And then he came out with the Puro, which is an estate cigar because it's all from one farm and it's all Nicaraguan. Right. Where the Cameroon, the wrapper, of course, is not Nicaraguan. The Connecticut's not Nicaraguan. Yeah. So he went into this to get an all Nicaraguan cigar in it.
So by the way, so just getting into this, it's still got about that same kick to it, which is great. I'm not quite all the way into the first third yet, but it's still got the same kick, still got that same feel. Again, about what it is when it comes out of the gate. Not super strong, but it does have some kick. So it's still smoking pretty good. It's a great cigar so far.
So after all that, starting with 6 rollers in basically a derelict factory, AJ today has 2 factories. One in Totogalapa and the other in Esteli. They have well over 150 rollers, and he averages 9 million cigars a year.
Wow.
9 million. Most companies don't make 1 million. He makes 9 million. The reason that is not only because he makes all his own cigars, but everybody in the business all of a sudden wanted AJ's name on their cigar. They now wanted that name, including in the bands of cigars they already made. So you'll see an AJ Monte Cristo, an Upman, AJ Monte Cristo, and Upman Monte Cristo, Aging Room Monte Cristo. He goes through a lot of different companies who want him to blend them a cigar.
And on that note, you told me this story earlier, so Kyle and I were talking before we got on. I want you to tell the story that you told me about this Monte Cristo, because I think it's a pretty interesting story, guys.
Okay, so Monte Cristo came out in a brand in 1935. In Cuba, that's where they got it. They named it, of course, after the story, Monte Cristo, which is written by Dumas. Anyway, they came to AJ and asked him to blend them a cigar to celebrate their anniversary from 1935, when they're the second largest manufacturer of tobacco in the U.S.
And they went out and got AJ.
And they went to AJ to have them make him a cigar. By the way, this was the number 2 cigar of the year last year. I think it should have been number 1, but that's okay.
Now let's talk about the blending. So, and I asked you this question about this cigar, but let's talk about this cigar right here. When you say the blending of it, right? The blending basically means we're selecting the binder, we're selecting the filler, we're selecting the wrapper. Is somebody like AJ actually making that decision, or does somebody like AJ or even other cigar manufacturers, do they have a blender that's doing that
all
selection?
of them are blenders, and most of the time, the blender is who's famous in all this, and it's who we know more than sometimes the owner. I mean, Perdomo's the owner. He's not the blender. He has a blender in his factory, and that guy blends.
All right, so I'm about a third of the way in now. Still got that same peppery, spicy feel, still relatively strong. I will say, started out with a little bit of an uneven burn, but I think that was me. I think I was just kind of hitting it a little bit hard. Let it set for a minute. It's evened itself right out. The ash is it's kind of got that light look to it. It's got some dark lines through it, but so far it's smoking really good. I mean, the uneven burn, right? It's kind of caught itself up. But tell me a little bit about what does that mean, and then what does the look of the ash mean?
Okay, so the cigar should burn evenly all the way down because they blended it for all that tobacco to blend and taste together. If it starts to burn uneven, then you've now taken the blend out of it, and you're only getting a partial of the filler or a partial of the binder, or not all the wrapper, so it no longer tastes the same.
Right.
The ash, it is kind of a light gray.
Yep.
A lot of people say, oh, well, it's only got to be light colored. Well, that's not totally true. The reason the ash is the color it is, one, again, the soil, but it's the water and fertilizer used in different areas that makes the ash come out the color it does.
All right, so I'm well into the second third. It's still a little bit intense. It's getting a little bit more intense. So it kind of smoothed out as I kind of got to the end of the first third. Now it's kind of picking up a little bit of the intensity. But I will say it's not that peppery intensity, right? So I think I'm getting more of the body at this point, right? So still a very smooth cigar, nothing overwhelming. It's got a great taste. It's got a great vibe. But tell me a little bit, Kyle, of where you think this Dorado fits into the New World line, right? We talked about some of the other stuff that AJ's blended, but specifically in the New World, where do you think this thing falls?
Okay, before we totally say that, the spice that you say now does not intensify. It's because you got all the spice up front, your palate gets used to that pepper. It's not going down in pepper. Your palate now is used to it. It's like eating a jalapeno pepper. You take a first bite and you go, oh, I can't eat this. You keep eating it. It's not as spicy because now your palate's used to it. That's the same way of this, though the body's picking up. The spice is still in the same range, so you don't see it as much or feel it as much. Okay, so as far as this goes, the New World Original is the strongest cigar in AJ's line. It's the strongest by far. It's all Nicaraguan. It has a broadleaf wrapper, which means they fermented it to Maduro it. So that's why it tastes that way. The Puros is the medium second one, which I think where Dorado would fit into this line would be with the Puro Especial because they're both all Nicaraguan.
Right.
All Nicaraguan tobacco, so they're different fields, but they're going to have the same intensity. Third in line is the Cameroon. They took the binder and filler and made sure it didn't overpower the Cameroon wrapper in its taste. So they made sure that the binder and filler are less intensity.
So the New World Cameroon is one of my favorites, right? So I always keep those in my humidor. And I will say, I don't think the Dorado is as intense as the New World Cameroon. I've also had the original New World, and that is more probably and a little bit stronger than this particular cigar. So I think you're right, right? Like it's a little bit stronger than than the Cameroon.
And the last is the Connecticut. Again, this is not Connecticut shade. It's Connecticut seed grown in Ecuador under the method of making Connecticut cigars, which is to put it under tapas for shade. There's very little Connecticut left anymore, so they grow it in Ecuador. I think they ought to say Ecuadorian seed grown in the Connecticut method, but they don't, and that's up to them. This is still a medium cigar because it's Nicaraguan binder and filler. So it's not light, but it's lighter than everything else.
And I can definitely agree with that. On the Connecticut shade side, This is mild, but I think it's on the higher side of mild, right? I've had some cigars like an Avo that's really smooth, and a Connecticut, and a lot of other Connecticut's that are really smooth. This has actually got a little more kick to it. So if you're looking for something that's kind of like not really mild, is something that's more like medium, right? Then you're going to get that out of the new one. So tell me a little bit about, Kyle, where do you think this thing is on price, right? So maybe even to the others, but where does this, let's talk about the Dorado first. It's a brand new cigar. Where does this thing ring up at for the folks that are going to go out there and purchase it?
Okay, it's $11 to $12 range is where it's going to be, which makes it the most expensive New World, and there's a reason for that. All these come out of fields that he's already made tobacco in. He's had for a long time. That has a lot to do with the price on why they cost what they do. Well, he bought that farm 5 years ago. It had no tobacco ever grown on it, and he spent 5 years making that cigar. So his cost has got to come out of generating a brand new cigar out of a field. So it's going to be on the highest side. And
Still
the
not
other
bad.
tobacco that probably comes out of there will start going a little below that, like the rest of the line, because most of them are between $7 and $9. But he has to make his money. I mean, it doesn't, you know. Also, if you look at any of his other lines that he makes for other people, of course, they are all going to be in that line of price because he's making money and the company he's making it for is making money. More hands touch it, the price goes up.
Right.
So it's just a way. It's like any product. The more hands that touch the product, the higher the price is going. Where are you?
And one thing I'll say about the New World line, it's always flawless, right? These cigars are always great. They always have a good draw. The Cameroon is also a box press, so which is another reason why I like the Dorado. I kind of like the box press. So I'm kind of getting later maybe into the second, third here. Still about the same. The peppery intensity is kind of dropped, but as you said, it's probably because my palate's getting used to it. I'm starting, getting a lot of that body.
Right.
But it's really got a great smooth smoke to it.
Well, and the ash is still even. It's still burning all the way down the way it's supposed to. So yeah, it's a well-made cigar. It would have already started to go walkie long before.
Yeah.
If it wasn't. But he's put a lot of time in this, and it's a brand new cigar. It better smoke right all the way down, or
So let's keep going with this thing, and let's see what the final third looks like. All right, so I'm getting into the final third here, and I will say now the intensity has picked up again, right? So it kind of mellowed out there in the second third. Getting into the final third, it's intensified. I can also say that peppery is actually starting to come back, right? So now I'm getting the real full body. And I'm getting that peppery again, and it's still good, but it's definitely intensified.
So it's, not for a light smoker. You're going to best at medium, but it's going into full-bodied, so you need someone who's smoked for a while to smoke this. Otherwise, it's going to overpower them because it's getting stronger as you're going down.
Yeah.
So the sizes of this cigar by AJ are a Robusto, Toro, Figurado, and Gordo. That's the four sizes it comes in. Short to long. I think the Gordo will most likely be the lightest of the group because of its 60 ring gauge. You're getting more binder and filler. You're going to knock out some of the wrapper, and you're drawing more air. So if you want something that's probably not as intense as that Toro, you'd go to the Gordo.
Yeah. No, this is a great cigar. Guys, I would strongly recommend this. For the new smokers out there, maybe not just yet till you get your palate going, but this is a great smoke. Kyle, tell us a little bit about Route 7 Cigars.
Yeah, okay, so if you all have any comments or you want to know more about what we've been talking about or you just want to come by and check us out, it's Route 7 Cigars, Leesburg, see Chris or Kevin, Sterling, myself, and Emmett. Anything you want to know, come on in and talk to us about it. Make your comments. We will answer them sooner or later. Thank you all very much for this. Mike, thanks for the review. I hope people like it because I decided I wanted a review by somebody who's just a cigar smoker. He doesn't work in the business. I like reviews by guys that are just walking in my shop and smoking. So thank you all very much.
Yeah, great cigar. Great review, I think, of the Dorado. Definitely recommend it. And don't forget to click the like and subscribe down below, everybody. And we'll see you on the next show.